You should never, ever, ever base your self-worth on how many people interact with you on social media, how many followers you have, that kind of thing. To me, I don't even consider somebody to be a good friend on social media unless we've had a good quality and to some extent quantity of private conversation. But that's not to say that interactions on public posts can't be informative about how that person sees you and also quite useful as well. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of, well, I don't really make a big deal out of likes, but definitely people who comment things or share things actually can be quite helpful at times. And there's also the fact as well that every so often we'll all post something that we think is going to be a big hit, something that's going to be quite funny or enjoyed by many people, but it ends up bombing. And it can be very disappointing when this happens. Even if we don't use social media to determine our worth, it can still be quite annoying or quite disappointing. Now, I still have my Twitter accounts, and yes, I call them Twitter accounts. And I've never really been a popular person on there. I had one tweet almost 4 years ago now go completely viral for a few days. But I've never really hunted fame, as this YouTube channel can demonstrate perfectly well. I mean, look how low budget my videos are. But I've noticed that on Twitter recently that my interactions have been more or less dead for the past several months. At first, I thought, well, maybe a bunch of people have realised I'm not going to be sending them any money or buying whatever it is they're here to sell. Or maybe it's because I've been posting more stuff about my building up my self confidence again, and a lot of people didn't like that. They don't feel comfortable seeing me have confidence. And I'm not making it up, by the way. There are people in my personal life who have expressed a dislike for the fact that I've grown in confidence while they've been gone from my life. I also put down the drop of interactions on my Twitter accounts down to the fact that some people are really, they seem to have this weird boast, this weird flex that they're completely cut off from everyone else. Look at me, I'm so cold. I'm too distant from everyone else. I'm a cold figure. And they use social media as a way to do it. Look at me, everyone. I've just seen a post that I thought was funny, but I'm not going to interact with it because I'm trying to convey this image that I'm completely over social media now while everyone else is perpetually online. I also thought that another reason for my drop in Twitter engagements is because of the things I post, but the things I've been posting now recently are the same shitty things I've been posting for years, so I don't quite know why everyone's suddenly become fussy. Now, those were my theories for quite a while, but I think I've figured it out. I think the reason for my very sudden, very unorganic drop in interactions and engagements is because I'm not a verified Twitter user. Now, to be honest, I have considered getting verified on Twitter just to see if it's something I would like. Not because I'm one of these people that thinks I'm a better person because I have a blue tick next to my name that I didn't need this time last year. But what stopped me is that it doesn't really seem that Twitter at the moment is something that fits into the main reasons why I use social media, why I use the internet. It's a great place for dumping silly posts, and who knows, maybe people might find them and they might engage with me more privately and I might get to know them better, but it doesn't seem to be that much of a tool at the moment. Maybe one day I will, but in the meantime, I'm more or less running a dead Twitter account, which is part of the reason why it's currently on private until further notice. That won't be forever, but it was just getting a little bit embarrassing posting all these things and not even getting a like not even a token like. But I think it's very sad that the internet is now becoming this thing that you need premium services for. I'm a solid believer that for all the public services out there and for all the customer services, there should be an offline option for use because some people don't use the internet, some people can't use the internet. Not to mention, there are always situations where the internet might go down, in which case we'd all be screwed depending on what the service is. But we've all sort of accepted that everything has to be online now. But then all of a sudden, the page turns and the rug is pulled out from under us again, because not only do we now need to be online, but we also need to have endless apps for everything. We can't just have a website anymore, we have to have an application. An application that takes up space on our phones that we pay for, storage for, our storage, our personal storage. And remember that some of these apps are for services we need. We might need an app in relation to our job, for example. And it really annoys me when an app has features that the desktop doesn't, but then the desktop version has features that the app doesn't. So you still need both. I'm picturing a world where suddenly we need to constantly buy new storage space on our devices just to fit all of the apps that the government or our bosses or this and that particular agency requires us to have. And then the internet suppliers or the phone suppliers start overcharging for storage, and we end up not being able to afford that extra space. But okay, we accept that we now have to have apps for everything. But now it seems as though we now have to have a premium service for everything. Now, to be honest, social media is social media. If every single app I currently use invents a premium service that without having it, the app is completely worthless, the website's completely useless, I'll just do what I did with MySpace. One day I'll just stop going back. Not that MySpace had a premium service, at least to my memory, but I remember just sort of dropping away from MySpace. It faded out of my life. And there'll be other social media alternatives open up in its place. There'll be business people, and they'll be very small, and there'll be a very select number of people on them. But you know what? That sounds kind of blissful right now, to be honest. But I start to worry, what if the more important services start to require a premium service? Like, I'm not talking about emergency services. I'm not talking about 999 plus or anything like that. And I hope that stays a sort of a jokey comment and doesn't become reality. But for example, emails. I have the same email address for 15 years. It's very professional. It's not a comedy name. It's my full name. And there's a complete record in there going back to, well, the day I got it. I remember the first email address I had. If I disappeared for a week and came back, there was storage limits and the entire thing was filled up with spam. And so if anyone had emailed me in that time, it wouldn't go through. Whereas this email, I can go back 15 years and see everything. I can pull certain things up. If I'm dealing with a company, I've got things on record just in case they try to shaft me in the future. But imagine if they introduced my email service provider plus, and by not signing up to it, I only get a certain number of emails sent a day. Here's the thing that bothers me actually. If I'm correct and that my drop in interactions is because I'm not a premium member, then that's quite sneaky because nothing's been signposted for me. I've had to come to that conclusion myself. It's almost like they've subtly shadow banned me, which is funny because I thought Twitter was supposed to be all about free speech now. I thought shadow banning was part of YouTube's censorious history. But imagine if email service providers start behaving that way. You send someone a very important email, something really integral to your business life, and it says it's been sent, but then because you're not a premium member, it doesn't show up, or something important sent to you doesn't appear in your inbox. That could lead to some really serious complications for you. Maybe you have a hospital appointment coming through, but it doesn't show up because such and such service provider decided that was the email they were going to hide from you because bloody bot accounts emailing you about Viagra was more important today to your agenda. I am by no means a socialist, but I can certainly see the problems that capitalism can have on everybody's day-to-day life, even day-to-day convenience. And the internet has become another thing that's just everywhere you go, you've got someone's got their hand out for you. And the thing is that all the political people online should be getting up in arms about this. But unfortunately, all the conservatards are the ones I call choke me harder daddy conservatives, are the ones who, talk about how millionaires should be allowed to get away with everything, that taxing them is theft. And then they go to their little minimum wage jobs where they pay tax and they get abused each day. They'll be all over it. They worship the the multi-billion billionaires. And meanwhile, all the people on the left, all the anti-capitalists, sure, they probably want to protest it, but hey, at least when you buy the premium service, you get a nice little tick that you can use that tells everyone that they're better than you or something. But it's a real frustration for me, and it's a real shame that the internet has gone this way.